The world snapped into focus, an abrupt and jarring clarity. His expensive cologne, a sharp cedar and bergamot, filled my senses. For a moment, I was convinced the sleepless night had finally broken something inside my skull. This impossible voice, echoing in my head, was a perfect match for Ethan's usual detached, slightly irritated tone. A beat of stunned silence. Then, a distinct pressure at my waist, as if someone had given a deliberate testing squeeze. His waist is so slender. I could circle it with one hand. Has he been skipping meals again? I'm a monster. I've been letting him go hungry. The internal monologue cut off as sharply as it began. My head jerked up, eyes wide, locking onto Ethan Reed's face. With an expression of practiced indifference, he set me back on my feet, his posture resuming its usual commanding stiffness. Is everything all right, Sebastian? All right? I took an involuntary step backward. My mind was a scrambled mess. He moved forward, a faint crease of concern appearing between his brows. Sebastian, you look pale. His hand came up, cool fingertips brushing my forehead. He held them there a moment before dropping his arm, seeming satisfied. No fever. He seems so distracted today. Adorably out of it, but I prefer him focused. That razor-sharp focus, especially when he's dismissing a vendor. The way his eyes narrow, like he's assessing a threat. It's exhilarating. God, I love it. Do it again. The increasingly vivid descriptions shocked me back to reality. A frantic glance around the corner office confirmed it. Just the two of us, surrounded by sleek glass and minimalist furniture. So, this was happening. Not only was I experiencing a profoundly unscientific phenomenon, hearing the man's unfiltered thoughts, but Ethan Reed, of all people, was harboring a major crush. And he was calling me, honey? I turned my face away, forcing a tight smile. It's nothing, Mr. Reed. Just a rough night. I tripped over the edge of the area rug. Not only tripped, but landed squarely against his chest. I'd felt the frantic, thunderous rhythm of his heartbeat through layers of fine cotton and wool. It should have been a simple, awkward moment between colleagues. Two guys, a quick assist back to stability. Normal. Instead, my brain had decided to tune into his private radio frequency. Earth-shattering. And I was very, very straight. How was I supposed to look him in the eye now? My usual eloquence deserted me. An awkward silence stretched. I rubbed the bridge of my nose, edging sideways toward the door. His mental chatter resumed. He didn't sleep. Was he working late again? I suppose in his heart, the quarterly reports still rank above me. That's fine. I'm used to playing second fiddle. I've learned to be self-sufficient. Maybe a gesture, a raise. 10,000 should get his attention. But would he think it's strange? I instantly pivoted back, clutching the folder in my hands. I looked at him, widening my eyes slightly. Not strange. Not strange at all. Unexpected bonuses were my favorite kind of surprise. 10,000, 20. My imagination briefly took flight. Under my intense gaze, Ethan's eyelashes flickered. A faint, unmistakable blush crept up his neck. Why is he looking at me like that? Does he feel the same? Should I play it cool? Or just go for it? I'm crazy about him. If it's mutual, why wait? Just say yes. He adjusted his tie, clearing his throat. Well, Sebastian, I was thinking, seeing the words I do forming on his lips, I panicked. Sorry, Mr. Reed. I just got a text. My dog, he took the riding mower for a spin and crashed into the maple tree. I have to go. That's certainly an emergency. I can drive you? No, thank you. You're very busy. I fled, speed walking out as if propelled by rockets. Unbelievable. I thought a raise was coming. Instead, he was about to declare his feelings. And the worst part? I'm a man. Why honey? Why not something else? The next morning, I stood outside the executive floor, breathing deeply. In out. A massive psychological fortification was necessary. Curse my past self. When Ethan had offered me a private office last year, why had I refused? Citing better synergy? Now, knowing his true feelings, every shared moment felt charged with a strange electric tension. Before, when I'd catch him watching me, I assumed it was professional scrutiny. Now I knew it was observation of a different kind. How was anyone supposed to work peacefully next to a person secretly fixated on their, well, everything? Pushing the door open, I found Ethan at his desk, pretending to sip from a mug of black coffee. His expression was one of profound suffering, locked onto a financial projection. Who made this battery acid? Is this revenge? Do I come across as a tyrannical boss? I can't even pour it out. He's watching. I have to maintain the image of a man who appreciates simple, bitter things. This is torture. Someone will pay. Hypocrite, I thought. But I still walked over, took the mug, and replaced it with his familiar stainless steel travel tumbler. Inside was chocolate milk. His secret, childish indulgence confided in me because, as he'd once solemnly stated, I was his most trusted executive assistant, his right hand, someone he envisioned working alongside for the long term. Ethan accepted it, his stern features softening a fraction. Thank you, Sebastian. He's perfect. I want to kiss him, but I don't have the right. Is it because I'm too reserved? He said he preferred a calm, collected superior. When had I said that? I racked my brain. My first week, he'd asked about my management preferences. Buried in files, I'd mumbled something about valuing quiet efficiency. Had that been the genesis of this whole icy facade? A flicker of guilt arose. No, must maintain composure. No power in the relationship otherwise. But I could subtly create more opportunities for him to accidentally pin me against the filing cabinet. I stumbled slightly, suddenly wishing I'd laced his chocolate milk with vinegar. The morning passed in a haze. I had no clear memory of the tasks I'd completed. A shadow fell across my desk. I looked up. Ethan stood there. He seemed to have changed his suit, from charcoal pinstripe to a subtle navy check. It did little to disguise his build, broad-shouldered, athletic, a physique that spoke of discipline. Early years in competitive boxing had left him with a latent, coiled intensity. Probably made junior analysts cry. No wonder he dominated boardrooms. I caught myself, a sudden chill running through me. Since when did I, a confirmed heterosexual, appraise another man's physique and professional prowess? Was that normal? Ethan leaned down, one arm braced on my desk, inadvertently flexing. Good Lord, the pectorals. Practiced this angle for 20 minutes in the mirror. He'll like it. I kept my face neutral. Did you need something, Mr. Reed? To take you on a date? Sebastian, would you care to join me for lunch? My mouth opened to refuse. Then his inner voice piped up. Over lunch, I can casually inquire about his opinion of my new tailor. If he approves, I'll schedule this cut for Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. The other for Tuesdays, Thursdays. And when we're together, weekends can be for no suit at all. I choked on air. Any thought of sharing a meal vanished, replaced by a desperate desire to teleport. I offered a polite deflection.
I'm swamped. I'm afraid.
Raincheck? The disappointment in his eyes was stark. An odd, sympathetic pang twinged in my chest. He hadn't actually done anything wrong. He just liked me. Was I being cruel? Did I offend him? He's rejecting lunch. Will dinner be next? Then breakfast? Then me entirely? I'll just walk out the window. The guilt intensified. On second thought, if you can wait 5 minutes while I finalize this, I could manage a quick bite. Ethan nodded. Of course. I glanced at him. He seemed to realize his aloof character had slipped, the agreement coming too fast. He looked away, rubbing his jaw. Close one. The performance nearly faltered. Still, he didn't notice. If only he knew. He claimed it would be a casual lunch. then guided his luxury sedan through downtown using a navigation app that seemed determined to get us lost. We ended up in a dank alley, facing a brick wall. We stared at each other. "So, we're eating?" I ventured, struggling not to laugh. Unbelievable. A CEO takes his assistant to lunch and drives them into a dead end. Unconventional courtship, but who was I to judge? He met my gaze, his expression flat. "Apologies. The GPS malfunctioned." He was the picture of calm, but his mind was screaming. "Stupid app." I asked for the new farm-to-table bistro. "Are you trying to feed my future husband dumpster leavings?" My sophisticated image is ruined. That restaurant he saved on his social media. Where is it? My social media? I pulled out my phone, scrolling quickly. Sure enough, there was the saved post about the bistro. The mental gymnastics were exhausting. He could have just asked. With time running short, we settled for a nearby diner. As we waited for our food, a cloud of dejection seemed to emanate from Ethan. He leaned forward slightly. "I'd hoped to take you somewhere special."
I'm sorry.
I accepted the glass of water he poured, sliding his tumbler toward him. He looked so genuinely morose, as if he might dissolve into the vinyl booth. "Really, it's fine. Don't worry about it." The food arrived, a hearty club sandwich for him, a salad for me. I speared a tomato. The best meal is the one in front of you. No sense pining for what you haven't got. His tension visibly melted. "He's amazing. I love him more," he said, "next time." My fork paused. Had I? I meant he could go next time. Alone. I focused on my lunch, then my attention snagged on a couple of few booths over. Two men, fingers interlocked, sharing fries, smiling with an intimate ease. I looked down quickly, a sudden heat on my neck. The last thing I needed was for Ethan to see them and start another internal fantasy reel. I was still processing. Seeing that casual affection so openly displayed, I tried to imagine it. Me. Him. Here. No. I gave an involuntary shake of my head. Ethan, who had been watching me, followed my glance and then looked back, his face unreadable. "Something wrong? Seb? Seb? Since when was it Seb?" Testing boundaries. "Ethan? Does he like the nickname?" "Sebastian Shaw. It's a good, strong name." He asked casually, but his knuckles were white where he gripped his fork. He saw them. Is he shocked? He's never been exposed to that side of life. At charity galas, when some donors brought their partners, I made sure he was occupied elsewhere. I was afraid it would prejudice him. What do I do? His silent panic was a mantra in my head. He was overthinking this. I can't risk a confession now. If he ran, where would I ever find him again? Slow. Gauge his views. Then proceed with caution. I hadn't uttered a word, and he'd already course-corrected. This resilience. No wonder he ran a Fortune 500 company. The drive back was tense. I braced for a subtle interrogation. At a long red light, Ethan drummed his fingers on the steering wheel. "Sebastian, what are your thoughts on relationships?" I blinked.
Ide anticipata nuansa, circumspection.
Not a fastball down the middle. Meeting his focused gaze, I felt my own pulse kick up a notch. I don't mean to pry, but those men we saw, does that kind of thing bother you? His voice was carefully neutral, stripped of its usual CEO authority. It demanded a real answer. The light cycled. His mental channel was silent. The car felt like a sealed chamber awaiting a verdict. I shook my head, matching his seriousness. Of course not. Finding someone who understands you, who fits, that's rare enough. Why limit it by gender? Love manifests in countless forms. Same gender, different gender. As long as it's consensual, respectful, and legal, it deserves the same respect as anything else. The light turned green. He accelerated, a faint smile touching his lips. Well said. Naturally. I was a modern, rational person. He doesn't disapprove. Therefore, he might accept me, adore him, Must write that down later. And just like that, the solemn moment passed. Progress. Perhaps due to the sheer volume of his internal monologue, I dreamed of him for 2 nights straight. Vivid, embarrassing dreams where he was persistent. I woke up exhausted, sporting dark circles that looked like I'd gone 10 rounds. I buried my face in my dog's fur, rolling on the living room floor in quiet despair. Why him? This was terrifying. Lacking any frame of reference, I finally dug my phone from the couch cushions and texted my cousin, a licensed therapist. Hypothetical. A friend. Very straight. But lately having dreams about intimacy with another guy. Normal? The reply was swift. You dreaming about a guy? My friend. Right? Is the guy attractive? Charismatic? How does he treat your friend? I thought of Ethan. Imposing. Sharp. Generous. That recent bonus. The more I listed, the more his image solidified. Flawless, almost. Except for the internal whining. And the honey thing. I typed angrily. He's okay. A bit needy. Calls my friend sweetheart. Men shouldn't be called sweetheart. A pause. Then Seb. Sounds like you have a crush. I sat bolt upright, staring at the screen. Me? A crush on Ethan Reed?
Impossible.
Sure, he was successful, handsome, outwardly stern but secretly. But he was a man. Did I like men? Was I gay? Then why didn't I feel anything for the guys in accounting? Did I only like Ethan? Agitated, I blocked my cousin's number. Quack. Entering the office with a sigh, I couldn't muster a smile when I saw him. I needed distance. Step 1, move my desk. Without even taking off my coat, I approached his desk with a strained grin. Mr. Reed, a quick word? His eyes lit up. We're connected. Dreamt about him last night. And now he's seeking me out first thing. He's perfect. I'd like to relocate my workstation to the adjacent annex. He went very still. He tapped a pen against the blotter. Is there an issue with this office? A distraction? Why doesn't he want to be near me? Have I been too obvious? Did I do something wrong? I adjusted my glasses. With the merger talks, there will be more calls, more foot traffic. I'm concerned about disrupting your concentration. Ethan steepled his fingers. I'm not disturbed. Is your workspace insufficient? He stood, walked to my desk. A solid L-shaped behemoth, and with a grunt of effort that strained the seams of his jacket, lifted one end and dragged it flush against his own. He dusted his hands. Sebastian, as my primary assistant, you should have every convenience. Please don't hesitate. I stared, my smile fossilizing. Excellent. Now we're inseparable. Damn him. If not for the internet articles saying unrequited love was a fragile state, I'd have unleashed a torrent of frustration. He looks tired. The shadows under his eyes. He's working too hard. Another salary adjustment. He deserves it. My expression thawed instantly. Thank you, sir. You're remarkably considerate. Compared to financial gain, a few weird dreams were nothing. A consolation prize for 24 years of singledom. And objectively, he treated me well. Fate seemed determined to counter my every move. I sought distance, he created proximity. I planned a solo business trip to oversee a charity initiative. He rearranged his calendar to join. It was a constant, low-grade provocation, expertly calibrated. If not for the psychic eavesdropping, I might have praised him as the model of an engaged, compassionate executive. Ethan had fought his way out of rural poverty. He'd worked brutal jobs, including those boxing matches, to fund his education. That struggle gave our company's philanthropy its fierce sincerity, particularly toward educational grants. This trip was to a small Appalachian community. I'd intended to go with just the junior associate, using the time to clear my head and strategize my response to Ethan's escalating, if silent, campaign. I opened the passenger door of the black SUV and found him already inside, looking perfectly at ease. I was speechless. This wasn't on his schedule. Sebastian, he said, his tone even. Mark mentioned the site visit was to Cedar Hollow. That's where I'm from. I decided to come along, see the old place. This gave me pause. A genuine coincidence. Sliding in, I offered a sincere, "My apologies, Mr. Reed. I should have made the connection. That was an oversight. No apology needed. It was a last-minute decision. Last-minute decision to spend 12 hours in a car with you." I suppressed an eye roll. The man was a master of the guilt trip. The mountain roads were unforgiving, narrow ribbons of asphalt worn by weather and heavy trucks. Even the most skilled driver couldn't smooth out the jolts and drops. I closed my laptop, pinching the bridge of my nose against a rising wave of nausea. Ethan seemed unaffected. The associate in the front seat, Mark, was already looking green. Suddenly, Ethan shifted closer. The clean, subtle scent of his soap, something simple like sage and citrus, wrapped around me. He held 2 lemons from the car's small cooler, swiftly juicing them into his own travel tumbler before handing it to me. "For the motion sickness. It helps. Thank you." The words were strained. None of us were prone to car sickness, but the winding, uneven route after last night's rain was extreme. I took a small sip. The tart lemon mixed oddly with the underlying sweetness of chocolate milk. Then it hit me. This was his cup. Indirect, everything. My face, pale a moment ago, flooded with heat. "Better?" he asked, his gaze intense. I nodded hastily, turning to watch the dense pine forests blur past. "He's still too pale. I should have sent Mark alone." I glanced at the poor associate, now chewing a lemon wedge stoically. Ruthless capitalist. With the destination still an hour away, my exhaustion and the lingering nausea conspired. I began to doze. A violent lurch of the vehicle threw me sideways, my temple connecting sharply with the window frame. Before the pain fully registered, a large, warm hand was cradling my head, fingers gently massifying the spot. "This damn road. Hurt him. I'll have it repaved tomorrow. With gold." His thoughts were violent, but his touch was achingly gentle, sending an unwelcome shiver down my spine. "I'm okay," I mumbled, but I didn't pull away. He didn't wear cologne. Just soap. Simple. Direct. Like his affection. The donation process was quiet, personal. No press, no staged ceremonies with children holding oversized checks. In a small community center, the aging town mayor, back bent from years of labor, showed Ethan a handwritten list of families in need. Ethan later told me this man had been his guardian, his advocate, the one who'd shoved a bus ticket into his hand years ago. We walked the narrow, muddy paths between homes. Ethan moved with a sure strength, offering a steadying arm to the mayor with one hand, to me with the other. The older man pointed to a sagging porch. "Remember that place?" Ethan smiled, a real one. "I do. You tanned my hide there. For stealing those chocolate bars from the general store. Holding a grudge? Never. What you did for me I carry every day." Later, on the bus out of town, the mayor had slipped 2 of those same chocolate bars into his bag. The taste became a touchstone. We visited only a few homes. The poverty was stark, but the resolve in the parents' eyes, the cautious hope in the kids, was brighter. We could only do a little. A scholarship, a repaired roof, a nudge toward a less steep path. Ethan called it a minor repayment. I saw a deep, fundamental kindness. The rain began again on the return trip, a heavy curtain against the windows. Ethan sat beside me, the picture of calm. Is he quiet because he's sick? Did I seem capable today? Leader-like? Pick a date. A good date. To tell him. Strangely, the thoughts didn't irritate me. A faint amusement surfaced. Fool. I turned to look at him. He immediately straightened, pretending to glance my way. The impact was catastrophic. A scream of metal, a violent centrifugal lurch. The world upended. Before my brain could process, I was crushed beneath the solid weight of Ethan's body, his arms a vice around me. Sound faded, the coppery scent of blood, a rhythmic drip. The driver and Mark were unconscious. Ethan and I were wedged in the wreckage. "Sebastian, are you hurt?" His voice was tight, but clear. "I'm fine." "You?" Hearing me speak, he exhaled roughly. "Good. I'm good too." My phone sent an alert. "Help is coming. Mr. Reed? Ethan?" Silence. No reply. No internal chatter. A void where his constant mental presence had been. Terror, cold and absolute, closed its fist around my heart. He'd lied. To keep me calm. I fumbled for his hand, lacing our fingers together, giving a weak shake. No response. In any other circumstance, his mind would have been singing. The rain hammered on the shattered roof. I held perfectly still, terrified of worsening his injuries. "Ethan, talk to me. Please. If you wake up now, I'll be your sweetheart. I think I've loved you for a while. If we get out of this, I'll tell you properly. Promise." I whispered into the gloom, clinging to his calloused hand as if it were a lifeline. An eternity later, the glorious, piercing wail of sirens cut through the storm. The driver and Mark had concussions. Ethan had multiple fractures and was rushed into surgery. I, shielded by him, was physically untouched. Sitting in the sterile hallway, watching the red surgery light, I felt hollowed out. How did one reciprocate a love that profound, that self-sacrificing? With no family to call, I handled his affairs. In quiet moments, I sat by his hospital bed, just watching. He wasn't classically handsome. His features were strong, a little severe, with a faint scar near his eyebrow from his boxing days. His complexion was weathered, his build solid. When he'd covered me in the wreckage, he'd been impossibly heavy. And yet, I was in love with him. I was so lost in the thought I didn't notice his eyes flutter open. He blinked slowly. I shot up, calling for the nurses. The doctor declared him out of the woods, just in need of rest. Once we were alone, I helped him sip water. He drank, then fixed his gaze on me. "Had a strange dream. You said if we survived, you'd be mine." My blood ran cold. He'd been unconscious. My cowardly instinct to flee surged. Ethan continued, his voice weak but clear. "I heard you, Sebastian. In the car. Couldn't respond, but I heard every word. It's a terrible time and place to ask. But I need to know. Was it just the adrenaline?" I swallowed, my throat dry. After a long moment, I whispered, "No." His eyes, dull with pain, ignited. "It was real. I want you." When he'd first woken, the silence in my head had been deafening. I'd feared it was all a delusion, some elaborate psychotic break where I'd imagined the whole thing. His direct question 5 minutes later shattered that fear. I met it with a steady heart. "It's real. I want you too." Once recovered, Ethan attempted a return to his stoic CEO persona. I let him have his fun for about a week before sliding a contract across his desk with a look so sharp it could have cut glass. The facade crumbled instantly. I considered telling him about the months of mental eavesdropping, but decided against it. A man in his 30s deserved some dignity. So, Ethan Reed commenced his double life. Devoted, slightly goofy partner in private, unshakable titan of industry in public. Mark once asked me, in a hushed tone, if I thought our boss had developed a personality disorder. He eventually moved into my brownstone. One evening, we were otherwise engaged, when my phone buzzed repeatedly. I ignored it. It buzzed again. Finally, snarling, I answered. "Seb, it's me. Why am I blocked? Did you finally admit it?" "It's okay, you know. The family's cool with it." "Who is that?" Ethan murmured, his voice husky. Pause on the line. Then a yell. "Sebastian Shaw. You're dating?" That leaves me as the last single one. He's off the market. The call dissolved into chaos. I hung up, settling back against Ethan's chest. "Tomorrow," I said, tilting my head back to look at him. "You're meeting my parents." He kissed me, his lips curving into a smile against my skin. "Then we should make the most of tonight."